Hello, everyone. My name is Zachary Steele, and there's five of us, five part panelists, I guess you could call us, that are involved in this presentation. This is, if you are confused, this is the presentation on medical clowning, the power of joyful disruption. Even if you're not confused, that's what this presentation is. So uh, you can't have it your way. But anyway, my name is Zachary Steele, and I'm assistant professor of theater practice at USC's School of Dramatic Arts. I'm the head of comedy programs there, and I'm also director of the medical clowning program, which I will talk about a little bit more in depth in a little bit. But I also wanted to give an opportunity to my partner in crime here, Ryan Ziltzer, to introduce himself. Ryan.
Hi, I'm Ryan. I'm a medical student, a third year medical student at the Keck School of Medicine, and also a medical clown for the past 3 years. So I'm kind of like Zach's clowning apprentice, if you will. And this whole medical school thing is kind of just a side gig for now.
Yeah, Ryan went to USC undergrad and took my class while he was there, and we began our collaborations at that point. And then we've been working together ever since on various projects around the practice of medical clowning. But Captain Noodles, Boat LaBoat, and Rico Rico are with us. They are clowns that work with us in the hospital at County Hospital, and also virtually, which I will explain at a later point when we start on the slides what that means. But they are embodied by three incredibly talented artists. Boat LaBoat's name is John Cross. Rico Rico's name is Ash Sroka. And Captain Noodle's name is Chae Chaput. If you all wanted to keep your appearance a surprise, that's fine, but you can also show your faces at this point if you would like. They're a little shy. Oh, you see? Captain Noodle's a little shy there. Yeah. Rico Rico. Hi. Rico Rico's a little less shy. Yeah. And there's Boat LaBoat, who's got an absolutely gorgeous hat. Yeah, here they are. Okay, you three, now go away until a little bit later. We'll call on you a little later. It's not your turn yet. It's not your turn. We have to talk some serious stuff first, right, Ryan?
Of
Yes,
course, of
very
course.
serious. So I'm going to share some slides with you like one does during one of these things. I'm sure that's not a shock to anyone's system. Put it in present mode. I hope you didn't see any of my tabs. Woo, I got some embarrassing Google tabs today. All right, so here's the first slide. Medical Clowning, The Power of Joyful Disruption by Zachary Steele and Ryan Ziltzer. Okay, let's see what we got here. So I'm going to be talking a lot at the beginning, and Ryan might chime in, might not, and then we'll do some just so you know structurally what you're in for right now. Then we're going to do some demonstrations in the middle of this um, uh, in the middle of this presentation, and then at the end we'll have some Q and A's. Ryan will sort of take over and talk about the applications, various applications of medical clowning, and also as how medical clowning is beneficial to his experience as a med student. But generally, here are the three objectives that we hope to achieve by the end of this session. Explain the social, emotional, and physiological benefits of clown interventions, recognize the unique ability of a clown to connect with patients, and then with some hopefully interactive stuff, we'll see how it goes with this medium of Zoom webinar. We will apply some simple clown techniques with patients. Uh, Okay, here we go. We're not actual patients. We're not zooming into the hospital, people. We are not that good. Not that good. That's me. Not the one in the red hat. That's me holding the one in the red hat. My clown name is Shishi, and that's uh, Shoshi that I'm holding. And we work at County Hospital quite often when pre times before the pandemic hit. We've not been working there since for obvious reasons. But um, I want to talk to you at first here about a little bit about the history of um, medical clowning. This isn't. Uh, a lot of people have never heard of medical clowning, but medical clowning is not the first iteration of clowns playing a role as healer or even any sort of socially significant role um, outside of the medium of theater or circus or even street performance. Throughout history, there have been many examples of the clowns playing this role, using the power of joy and laughter to um, transform the healing environment and also transform the healing experience, but very specifically to really change our physiological, emotional, psychological states as we are healing. Ryan, am I talking too fast? You can't get a word in. Do you have any?
You're talking at the perfect speed.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'll continue. This feels like a kind of Conan O'Brien, Andy Richter dynamic that we have going on. Is that our vibe? Hopefully. Yeah. Okay. All right. Here's some history. Three very short bullet points here. History is kind of boring in general, so we don't want to spend too much time on it. But when it comes to clown history, maybe not. So this is a picture actually of a Zuni clown called Nuekwe. Zuni is a Native American uh, tribe, and they are based in the Southwest. But there are various examples and versions of the clown healer or the clown shaman in Native American culture, in various Native American cultures. Um, you can see them, the Native Americans, realizing the benefits of kind of putting together the healer and the performer into one space to use the powers of the performer for healing purposes. A lot of these are like actual physical purposes, physical healing purposes, but they're also psychological. Um, that we as a community need healing, and we need to be brought together, and that kind of bringing together makes us healthier, emotionally healthier, psychologically and physically healthier people. um, and that brings me to the role of court jester, which a lot of us are familiar with, where the monarchies of Europe would get their entertainment from a clown-like figure. They were empowered to criticize and disrupt the hierarchies that existed in not only the monarchy but in society. And just like the ritual healers of the Native American tribes are able to change your perspective on things so we don't feel as stuck in the current roles that we exist in or the patterns that we find ourselves in as human beings. Um, so it all existed, this kind of shared space between performer or entertainer and healer, for hundreds and hundreds of years. And then the Big Apple Circus Clown Care Unit, or the Big Apple Circus, which is a circus in New York, was requested one of their clowns come to a pediatric unit, a pediatric oncology unit in New York to visit a fan who was a patient there. And Mr. Stubbs, who eventually became Dr. Stubbs, who was a clown played by Michael Christensen, um, spent 20 minutes with this patient and completely transformed their experience. And from there, the Big Apple Circus had the idea to establish what they called the clown care unit, and they kind of dispersed the clowns into various hospitals throughout this country, in different cities. These clowns were paid. None of them were volunteering their time. Um, and and they've worked in various units with children and adults, in oncology units, in infusion centers, with the elderly, in even neonatal units. Uh, and actually, ironically, in an ironic twist, it became extremely popular to practice medical clowning outside of the United States. It was very inspiring for a lot of clown organizations in Europe, in South America, in Israel, and beyond to create their own medical clown organizations. And those organizations are still currently thriving to this day. In particular, there is one, my kind of favorite organization called the Dream Doctors in Israel, who have um, who have spent a lot of time on researching the efficacy of medical clowning in various um, different units with different populations in the hospital, victims of child abuse, victims of sexual abuse. There's even a study that shows that IVF uh, procedures are 20% more effective if the patient who receives the IVF interacts with the clown shortly after the procedure. Um, Something about the joyful body helping helping fertility. So that's where we are. Before I get into the health benefits, that's where we come in as a program. Um, at USC, the School of Dramatic Arts, we now have the first and only formal training program for medical clowns in the country, where, like I mentioned, with Ryan taking the class at USC on the UPC campus, um, we now give the opportunity for USC students to study, train to be a medical clown in the classroom. And then we have sort of an internship opportunity for them to come to county with me, which Ryan did, and clown with me and the patients for a semester. First observing me, then clowning with me, and then me observing them. And that is ongoing. Um, Here are some of general health benefits of medical clowning. It increases laughter, increases endorphin levels, lowers stress levels, and stimulates the immune system. One of the goals of medical clowning is to get patients to laugh, but not always is that a possible thing, and it's not always the most important thing in various situations. Laughter isn't necessarily appropriate all the time, so we don't measure our success or our effectiveness on laughter, but it is one of the benefits of medical clowning. Also, there is psychological effects, benefits. It improves mood and increased range of behavioral response options. We get unstuck, sort of. Um, um, and then social benefits. The clown kind of serves as connective tissue between patients and nurses, between patients and other patients who happen to be sharing rooms, between patients and doctors, between patients and clowns, between clowns and clowns, between clowns and their family at home. I don't know, maybe, who knows. Here's a quote that I love from Jan Henderson of Full Moon, which is a Canadian clown company. The clown is the embodiment of hope in the face of hopelessness and possibility in the face of the impossible. What I mean by that, or what Jan means by that, or what I derive from this quote, is the role that the clown has in terms of bringing hope to maybe a hopeless experience of hospitalization in particular, when a patient enters into a hospital, they are kind of stripped of their identity in a sense. They are stripped of their freedom in a sense. They no longer they no longer have the comfort of home with them, and they are now identified not as the individual, the multi-layered individual that they were pre-hospitalization, but now they are identified as potentially as the disease or the injury that brought them into the hospital in the first place. That is what everyone is focusing on, right? They become objectified in that way, and they lose the sense that they even have the possibility for joy, right? It becomes a waiting game all of a sudden once a patient is entered into the hospital. They are in this kind of liminal stage between the healthy state that they were before and the healthy state that they will be after. And uh, it is very difficult in this state to be in the present, to grow, to experience, and to be alive, or as alive as one could be. What the clown does is the clown comes into the hospital, engages in an interactive, creative experience with the patients, and reminds the patients that they are still healthy to a certain extent, and they do still have the capacity for joy, for play, and to be alive, and that life is still potentially full in that way. I want to mention at this moment that some people have the preconception that a clown is merely for entertainment purposes, that we come into the hospital room and we do our shtick, or we do the routine that we always do from room to room to room. And this is not the case, actually. Our work is 99% improvisational. It comes from the patient. It is bespoke interactions from patient to patient where we listen, we are trained in environmental sensitivity. We take what we get from the room, from that particular room, and we create an interactive, creative experience with the patient. We are not the sole authors of the joyful interaction. We are just collaborators with the patients or whoever happens, and the objects, whoever happens to be in the room. We are translators of environments, from ones that maybe don't have joy and play in them to ones that do have joy and play in them. So it requires empathy, obviously, and it requires an ability to um, listen and respond and create, requires patience, and it requires humility, of course, because we don't want to impose any idea of fun onto the room that wasn't even there to begin with. Here's another quote that says, healing is bringing the patient from a state of not being able to play into a state of being able to play. It is in playing, and only in playing, that the individual child or adult is able to be creative and use the whole personality. And it is only in being creative that the individual discovers the self. This is a very important quote to me as it pertains to medical clowning, because medical clowning is all about the doing. It's about the actual play. You can tell someone that play is something that keeps someone alive and keeps someone healthy and keeps someone uh, uh, themselves. But to actually do that, to engage, to be that presence, to be that spirit that walks into a hospital room and says, hello, I am here for no other reason than to give you pleasure through play, to engage with you in a playful engagement. I don't have an agenda. If you, whatever you want from me in this moment, in the realm of play, I hope to provide. Whatever you don't want from me in this moment, I will not provide. And sometimes that means go away. And we do. We say goodbye. And how empowering is that for a patient to be able to say no and to be heard, right? Because you can't do that with the doctor all the time. You can't do that with the nurses all the time. They have things they need to take care of. But to take that ownership, to give that empowerment to the patient in that moment, that you can say, you can ask something, you can hear no, and you will respond accordingly, is extremely empowering for a patient who's been so disempowered um, in hospitalization. Okay, good. Woo! Now, someone else's turn. Yeah, please. All right. Well, here we are on to the demonstration portion. It's 2:21. How are we doing with time, Ryan? You think that's pretty good?
I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think I meant for that section of the presentation to be exactly 21 minutes. So we're perfect. Uh, so I want to introduce to you, I did introduce her as Captain Noodles before, but she's going to transform right now into just a participant for this demonstration. I will stop sharing. Um, and her name is Chae. So the way that I would like for you to look at this, all who are present, all who are watching, is as a virtual clown interaction, which means that we're not pretending that this is a hospital room. This is a version of our virtual clowning that we've been doing as a medical clown program at USC, which is we now Zoom into anyone's room who wants to interact with a clown, who needs some joyful healing in their lives, and we interact with them for 15 minutes. You can sign up online and we'll get that information for you later. But for this one, it won't be 15 minutes long. It'll just be kind of a fraction of that, but we will show you an example of what one of these interactions, to the best of our ability, by reenacting them, what one of these interactions might look like. So Chae, will you poke your face into here? Good. Okay, I'm gonna hide my camera, stop video, and then Ryan, also maybe you'll hide yours.
Yeah, I just also wanted to mention that while this is a demonstration, we haven't really prepared anything specifically for this, so it's quite organic in that we don't know what we're going to see.
Right. Yes. Thank you, Ryan. It is very unscripted. So, and then we'll talk about it after. So here Chae is just waiting for the clowns to arrive. And then whenever you're ready, clowns, you can begin your interaction.
Excuse me.
Rico, Rico!
Why are you coming?
Oh. Hello.
Hello? Hello?
Whoa.
Hello?
Hey,
Hi.
you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi.
You like magic?
I do.
Oh dear.
Oh.
Are you going to show me a magic trick?
I am.
Oh.
Here you go. What's your name? What's your name?
Chae.
Rico. Oh,
Hey. Hey.
hi, Chae. I'm Rico Rico.
Hi, Rico.
Pleasure to make your acquaintance, Chae.
It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, too.
It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, too.
It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
It's a pleasure to make both of your acquaintances.
Chae,
I'm
it's a
Boat
special...
LeBeau.
Boat, I'm talking.
Magic. Watch. Whoa.
Wow.
Very kind of you, Chae. Boat, could you just give us a second? Just a minute, could you? Just don't listen. Just give us a minute.
Okay, I'll make it better.
Chae,
Yeah.
he's very, very sensitive.
Okay.
He's a terrible magician.
Gonna make it better.
You're doing great, Boat. Okay. Okay, so here's what we usually do. can you help encourage him? Because otherwise he's going to start to cry, and then we're going to spend the whole time together trying to get him not to cry.
Okay.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. Do you want to clap? Do you want to do the Zoom clap when you're on mute and you go like this?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can do that.
That's what you want?
Sure.
Okay. Okay. Sorry.
Gonna make it better. Oh,
Okay, we're ready for you, Boat. Come on back.
God. Oh God. Oh, I can't see.
Okay.
Chae.
Okay.
Where are you? Chae.
I'm over here.
Where?
Come over here. Oh, jeez.
I can't know
Okay.
where. Chae.
Boat.
Chae, keep talking.
Hi, Boat. Just keep walking straight.
Thank you.
Really good. Follow the sound of
Going.
her voice, Boat. Good. Stop.
Okay. She blindfolded even. Oh,
Okay. Here we go. He can't see you though.
Yeah.
So, Boat, since you
yes.
can't see us, you won't know how amazing we think that you are. Oh dear.
Oh.
It's great. Chae, what did you do? Yeah. We're clapping for you, Boat. We just fantastic.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you,
thank you.
Chae.
Chae, thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure to meet your
It's a
acquaintance.
pleasure to make your acquaintance.
It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Chae, it's our pleasure.
Okay, good work, you clowns. Yes. Thank you, Rico, and Bola Boat.
Thank you, Rico, and Boat LeBoat.
Thank you, Boat LeBoat. Rico. Thank you, Chae.
Okay, just like before, this is the serious part, so no clowns allowed in this part,
No
please.
clowns allowed.
Yes.
No clowns allowed.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, good. Now I'm going to go back to, I don't have to go back to my sharing our screen because I wanted to ask, and Gianna, maybe you can facilitate this, or what kind of things did you notice? What did you see?
If you had any observations about what you were seeing, just go ahead and let us know in the Q&A part of the Zoom webinar.
Yeah, they can
and
also
we
raise
can
their
kind of-
hands, and I
Oh,
can
and you-
unmute them too.
Oh,
Okay, yeah.
wow.
If you raise your hand, Gianna can pick on you and we can hear you. Not pick on you like make fun of you. Gianna would never do that. Like choose you, select you.
But this is the part where you participate, so you know.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan and I, stuck in this Zoom webinar, don't even know if you exist. We don't know if you're there. Are you there? Maybe you're there. Maybe you'll be there later, but not right now.
We have a response.
Yeah, they put, I noticed that RR and BLB involved Chae.
Great. Yes. Great. Yeah. Just like I was mentioning before, it is a very interactive thing that we do practice. They need to be a part of it, right? We really want to break down the passive role of the audience member and have the patient or the participant be involved, engaged, so that they can feel that sense of presence in the interaction, and ultimately so that we can inspire in them a sense of play that might carry on beyond the interaction itself or the actual 5 or 15 minutes, however long the interaction takes. Ryan, do you have anything else to add in response to that?
Yeah, just that it's by no means a performance. It is a genuine interaction, and everyone will be different depending on the patient and what how they're reacting.
Yes. Great. Thank you, Kim, for that. Because without you, it would have just been Ryan and me staring at each other. Also, I did want to mention just a few quick things. I know we have to pick up the pace a little bit, but you notice the allyship is what I call it that existed in this interaction where we watched Boat LeBoat mess up and be kind of pushed aside a little bit, gently pushed aside, and Rico was able to make form a bond with Chae over their shared experience of Boat LeBoat. So you have that kind of feeling of camaraderie and togetherness and connection. It works very well over virtually, and also works very, very well in a room where isolation is a concern for patients. Should we move on, Ryan?
Yeah, and I just wanted to comment on that, saying that as someone who's been part of the flock of medical people who swarms in kind of like an arc around a patient's bed, you do feel like it's a very much us versus them setup. When we are doing this in person, that allyship can look like the clown coming over next to the patient, kind of facing the other clown and saying like, hey, listen, like here's what's going on. And in that moment, you're feeling like you have someone on your side, which isn't something that hospital patients always get to experience uh, whenever people go and walk into their room.
Great. Thanks, Ryan. Okay, I'm going to go back to sharing. Here we are. Okay, so I'll be really quick here because we want to get to some other things later in the in the presentation. But here's a list, a brief list. There's more than this. This is not exhaustive of theatrical strategies that I teach in the classroom, and then are actually applied in the work in the hospital. Wrongness, allyship, I already mentioned. Bad magic, you saw Boat LeBoat partake in. Wrongness in general is extremely effective because you use an object wrongly and it empowers the patient to correct you, to know more than someone, where they usually take the role of knowing or are forced into the role of knowing less. They are on the bottom rung of the ladder in terms of information and a knowledge and comfort level in the hospital. But you can check out these slides later. I think these are available to you, but we'll move on for now. And we'll check out another medical clowning demo. This is the best part of the presentation for sure. So why not get back to it, right, Ryan?
Of course, of course. This is what we came for.
Yeah, this is the action. So in this one, we have John Cross, the very talented John Cross. Am I wrong being the patient here?
You are not wrong.
So John, will you show your beautiful face? Okay, look at that transformation. Wow.
Wow.
Wow. This is a disguise, right? The other one is how he wakes up, and this is what he does when he's being asked to look to fit in. All right, so Ryan and I will disappear. Just like the last one, this is a completely improvisational interaction. And I would like you to pay attention specifically in this interaction to how the clowns connect with and empower the patient. So here's Boat LeBoat, or I'm sorry, John, all by himself. And whenever you're ready, you two clowns can visit.
Rico, we have a friend.
John?
Hi.
John.
Yes. Hi.
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 John, I have glasses almost like that. Can I wear them so I can feel closer to you?
Whoa.
Is that okay for
Yeah.
you?
Me too.
Feel better.
I have glasses like that too.
Phew!
Oh,
Woo! It's so much better.
what would we have done if we didn't have those, Rico?
Thank
Oh
you,
my
John.
goodness.
I don't know.
Oh, John, you're
Woo!
the best. So John, I have a question for you.
Yeah. Yes.
It's a very important question. Are you ready?
I think so.
I'm ready.
What is on your mind, John?
I'm tired of waiting.
You're tired of waiting.
That's right.
Are you tired of anything else?
Tired of the breakfasts here.
I could make you something. One second.
No
Yes.
gray sausage, please.
Oh,
No gray sausage.
Sausage?
no,
No gray.
he said no grape sausage.
No gray sausage, please.
No grain and sausage.
No
Yes.
gray sausage,
Oh,
gray.
sorry.
please.
Sorry. Rico, he said no grace and
No.
sandwiches.
No.
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 Oh. John, please help us.
No gray sausage.
Hold
I've
on.
had gray sausage up to here.
Oh,
Please.
oh my goodness.
Hold on.
How
No.
are you still up one piece?
That's a great question. Thank
John?
you. Yes.
Welcome. Can you tell me what you like to eat for breakfast?
Yes. What do you might eat for breakfast?
I loved corn. I used to love corn. I used to love corn. I loved corn.
Loved
But-
corn.
Yes. Then
Yeah.
my grandmother lost me in a cornfield maze.
Oh, okay, Rico, here. Did you hear that? He loves horns and he got lost in a horn maze.
No.
Which
No. No.
No. No.
He was lost and then he found the corn. He went into the maze.
No.
Yeah.
No. A
Oh, no, when
cornfield.
What?
Cornfields. Cornfield maze.
cornfield maze. Oh, so
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes? So pinball maze.
So what?
Ball.
Pinballs.
No. No gray sausage. No corn, please.
Oh,
Okay. I got this.
a lot of
Yeah,
no's.
you have it.
I'm allergic to banana storms.
Oh.
You're allergic to banana storm, so we'll stick with the corn.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
No corn, please.
No.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're getting this wrong.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you
No,
don't
it's not your fault,
What?
John. It's Rico. She just, you know.
me.
Yeah, it is you, Rico. You do this every time. You just like don't hear it right. John, this is what we got to do, John, okay? Because we know that you don't like gravy and spaceships and that you've been lost in
No.
horn mazes, but that's okay
No.
because this
I love spaceships. I love spaceships. I do.
I have the chips. I have the chips. Hold on.
No, no
Space
chips. No gray sausage. No corn. No chips.
Okay.
Spaceship.
We, for time purposes, we have to draw this to a close. Thank you, Captain Noodles and Rico. Thank you, John. That was a great impersonation of a person,
Of a human man.
of a human man. Yes. So if y'all will disappear yourselves for a moment, you'll come back in a little bit. And thank you. Yes, that was wonderful. So another opportunity for participation from the attendees here. The question is, what did you see in regards to connection with the patient and empowerment of the patient?
So something that I saw was that even though it does the patients in obviously the hospital, it kind of asks them how they're feeling, and whatever that they're not feeling well about, it kind of tries to make them feel better about the situation that they're in.
Did you get that, Ryan?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, me too. Good observation. What else is there anything else?
Yeah, there's one from,
Yeah.
there's two now. So it says they put on the glasses to look like the patient.
Yes, so this is a beautiful moment in my opinion, right? Um, One where, these glasses that you put on every day, who knows how John might feel about these glasses. But what's wonderful about the innocence of the clown is that they see everything as miraculous or everything as amazing. These things that we look at every day and become a part of who we are endowed with this playfulness. Oh, these glasses that represent, I don't know, age or the inability to see now have um, potential for play inside of this actual object. So, how might that transform the patient's experience, or transform the patient's existence and or their relationship with their glasses? Yes, Brian, you have anything to add to that?
Oh, I was just pointing out that that I believe Dirk had a great point of there is a precarious line between frustration for the patient not being understood and then relief to be understood. And there was that moment, and I think that the clowns navigated that very well, in that they were kind of riding this fine line where maybe they're talking about a topic that a patient is uncomfortable talking about, or they're kind of playing with, like, oh, having to explain something over and over again, playing with a bit, like a little bit of frustration, and then immediately Rico was able to, or sorry, Captain Noodles was able to redirect the attention. No, it's Rico's not getting it, and so it's with two clowns you're able to kind of redirect energy between each other as needed, so that the negative focus is never like burdened onto the patient.
Right. Thanks. That's great, Ryan. Also, for the patient to be able to be free enough to complain freely about whatever is on their mind without being redirected by someone who might say, "Oh, come on, cheer up. There's, stop complaining about so much. There's so much to be happy for." We actually can find play through the complaining, through the so-called negative feelings, and see if we can turn it around. And you saw towards the end that spaceships. He perked up when someone said spaceships. So just to allow organically for those moments to happen without judging the patient for not being playful or not doing whatever. But let's move on, right, Ryan? Because
Mm-hmm.
we're slipping away here into other people's time. Um, so here's a clowning exercise
Yeah.
that we'll go through pretty quickly. Ryan,
So
you
you
want
can just click through like
to? Okay.
4 times. So generally, uh, when we see this image with the knowledge you have right now, you'd ask yourself, like, what is this? Um, Probably something that you're immediately thinking of is like an IV stand, an IV bag, some kind of infusion pump. If you're a healthcare worker, um, you'll probably understand what this is and what implications it has. So ultimately, it's a medical device for medical treatment. So this quick exercise for you is to tap into the mind of a clown. So forget everything you know and just rediscover what could this be. And quickly, you can just like let us know what you think in the Q&A. Think like a clown. If you had to forget what this was and what it meant, what could this be?
Kind of like the glasses in the last demonstration, that they're not actually to benefit seeing only, right? They're also potentially a point of connection. Okay, there's some Q&A stuff. Am I wrong?
An apple tree. It's Diwali Day, a tree to hang lights on. Lots of tree themes. I'm loving it.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, absolutely. These are great.
Yeah, we have some here as well. Gianna, if they put some other stuff in the chat, you can just yell it out for us. But here's some other
A
ones.
prehistoric iPad. Excellent.
Oh, good. A palm tree. We had a tree too. Patient's tall friend. A beep boxing music machine. It is a
Is it because
beeper.
it beeps?
Yeah. and a dancing partner, right?
Mhm.
Great. And what this might do, the clown being able to transform this object, is take away some of the anxiety that a patient might have around it and turn it into something more playful. Fancy telephone. Do not press buttons.
Do not press them for real.
Yeah.
So this is just something that I wanted to talk about briefly. So you may be thinking like, great, this is great for patients. How can I, maybe if any of you are healthcare practitioners or work in the health field in any way, you're asking yourself like, how can this help me in what I do every day? And an example of what I found as a medical student, something that I do that medical clowning has helped me do, is this thing called motivational interviewing, which is this counseling technique that we use to elicit a kind of behavior change. So it's often used to talk about like substance use counseling or counseling someone to make healthy lifestyle changes. Ultimately, what it does is it uses reflective listening. So you're just kind of helping parrot back what the patient says so that they can hear externally like what they're thinking and what they're saying. They can kind of process that themselves. And whenever there would be resistance, if you will, the goal is to roll with it. If the patient's frustrated, you get frustrated with them and understand and appreciate that frustration. And you ask them, like, let's process that a bit. Like, tell me a bit about this frustration and how that makes you feel. And ultimately, it helps identify patients' readiness to make a change. And this and medical clowning both are patient-centered and patient-led conversations. It's all about meeting the patient where they are. And I think most importantly, the goal is finding the patient's plan rather than just imposing your own. It's not your treatment plan or your plan for how the clowning interaction is going to go. It's about what the patient wants and helping discover that with them and offering that to them. And at the core of both is, of course, empathy.
So here is our information for the virtual clowning program that we are doing right now. It's for anyone to sign up in the hospital or not. You hopefully will find a way to share this flyer with you in another way, but I think also these slides are made available to you as well, so you'll have this information. We actually have time maybe for one uh, anecdote, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Is there one clown who wants to tell about a virtual clown experience that they've had? I know this is kind of weird. This is like, but one of you maybe step forward um, and tell your just a short story about what one of your experiences was like. Would you like me to choose? Okay, I'll choose Ash. Ash, come forward.
I was going to tell them to come forward. Either one of you can jump in, John and Chae. I was going to just briefly talk about, I don't know if this is an anecdote or not, but I think the beautiful thing, right, always in the hospital, but also I'm finding it on all the Zoom sessions, is that whether we're talking with 50 kids at a camp or one woman in Hungary, or John and I had a session with a huge family from all over the country with the aunt in a hospital bed. And what it does is no matter what way the session goes, if it's quiet and like music filled and beautiful, or if it's crazy and wild, there's this feeling of it takes us out of our life, but really my experience is that it takes us out of the past and out of the future and just like throws us into the present moment, all of us. And you can't really get out of it. I mean, you're staring at clowns and being ridiculous. And we get to just meet the person in that moment, and we don't see anything before or anything after, and we see the health of the person that we're working with always. And I think it's so much of a gift to us always, because it does the same thing for us as it does for them. And just the freedom to be in joy, whatever that looks like in the moment, and just to be there and actually listen, and like you said, have no other agenda, is it's like it's a beautiful thing.
Thank you so much, Ash. Yeah, Chae, did you want to add something quick? Go ahead.
Yeah, real quick. I completely agree with what Ash said, and two of the little like mottos that I live by are don't focus on the problem. If you focus on the problem, you can't see the solution. And then always focus on the healthy parts of the person. And I think those are so magical, because whether we're a patient or somebody who's a loved one of a patient, it's so important. Well, like there's such a need for an answer, and life doesn't always have an answer, and the doctor doesn't always have an answer. So the clown's there to show you that, you know, we might not have answers, but we can still be beautiful and we can still live beautiful lives, even if we don't know what's to come next.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I have a motto: no gray sausage. And I also, yeah, going back to what Ash said, with that, so many of these experiences, even the virtual ones, you feel the power of being fully present in that moment, with no past, no future, just here we are. And and you feel a connection. I mean, I really felt like we were going to meet Auntie Barbara and the entire family at your place, Ash, and we were going to have a bathtub full of ribs and all of the stuff we had talked about. It really felt like this intense human connection. And Chae, I love what you said about answers. I'm a teacher also, and I was working with my kids about on a project they're working on right now about embracing questions, and the answer is closed doors, right? But questions lead to other questions, and clowns are kind of like that. Clowns are very liminal. We just pop up, and there's no agenda, there's no knowledge of what we're supposed to do, and that opens up all kinds of beautiful possibilities.
Thank you, John. Thank you all so much for your reenactment demonstrations and for your input. It's extremely valuable because we can talk about this until the cows come home, but to be able to see it and experience it is another thing. Gianna, do we have time for one question from the attendees?
Yeah, it's 2:53, so just before 3 is fine.
Okay, yeah. So maybe if there's one or two questions from the attendees for any of us, you can put it in the Q&A. Or I think you can raise your hand and Gianna can give you the power of voice, like Little Mermaid or reverse Little Mermaid. It was a very comprehensive presentation. We did not leave many stones unturned, so I do understand the lack of questions. It also is possible that no one is here.
So there's a question. Can you measure the effectiveness of your interventions?
Oh, yes. Ryan, can we?
Yes. So that's actually something that that the USC Medical Clowning Program has been working on a little bit, and also something that we're looking to do specifically with the virtual medical clowning, as the flyer showed and we talked about earlier. This is something that we're really hoping to do to help promote within from America, because there's actually a lot of great data on medical clowning and its effectiveness and the health outcomes and whatnot, coming from places like Israel and in Brazil, other Latin American countries as well, but not as much from America. So that's something that we're hoping to help with. So if you or your healthcare facility is interested in offering, if you have a patient population that would be great to do this kind of intervention with, then definitely let us know.
Yeah, we are actually currently partnered in a, a research project with Dr. Chan in pediatric oncology and hematology at County to measure the effectiveness of clown interventions during blood draw in his clinic in reducing anxiety and pain levels. That was set to begin in March, and that's put on hold because of the pandemic, but we will continue data collection once things get back to some version of where we're allowed to be in person again. Well, that probably wraps it up, right, Gianna?
There is one more question.
Oh.
Do you also clown with patients you don't share the language with? Just curious about your experience or experiences.
Yeah, what's wonderful about, yeah, go ahead, Chae.
I can speak to that because in the hospital, one of my clown partners primarily speaks Spanish, and I speak very little Spanish. So that actually can be a comedic moment there where if the patient speaks Spanish and my clown partner speaks Spanish, there's that allyship. There's the utilization of allyship, and that clown partner is speaking in that native language with the patient, and then I'm trying to be understood and spoken, and then there's just I become the butt of the jokes essentially. So that's a really fun way to get in.
There's also a large amount of nonverbal interaction that happens in the hospital. I very often go through long interactions, 15, 20-minute long interactions without saying a word. Those to me sometimes are the most beautiful because they're the most kind of playful, right? The way that we learned to play was when we were pre-verbal. And so we kind of access those things when we say goodbye to language, which tends to put ourselves in our heads a little bit too much. So yes, it definitely transcends the need for language. That's a great question.
I once blew bubbles and said nothing but wow for 20 minutes.
Can you say the same for yourself, attendees? No, probably not.
I think also gibberish is so fun and freeing.
Yeah.
Gibberish, dance, and music are language for everyone. So when you have a patient that speaks another language, it's incredibly freeing to not have to use language to communicate. It's like yes, it's wonderful.
Okay. All right, we have to say goodbye. Gianna, thank you. Sorry for going over. Thank you all who were in attendance. This was a total blast. Thank you to Ryan Ziltzer and Ash Sroka, Chae Chaput, and John Cross. Great success, everyone. Woohoo! Thank you to IIHWC, the Institute for Integrative Health and Wellness, for having us. And yes, wellness is an inside job.